Wine and Crime contains graphic and explicit content which may not be suitable for some listeners. Listener discretion is advised.
Listening to Wine and Crime, the podcast where three friends chug wine, chat true crime, and unleash their worst Minnesotan accents.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah, babes.
She was the oldest living Lutheran.
She was the oldest living Lutheran, but now she's dead as a doornail. Anyway,
I'm Kenyon.
Woo! Jumping right into being on top of it. I'm
there
Lucy.
She is. Oh, hi, Lucy. I'm Amanda.
Did Lucy just
I'm
burp?
Mount Rose
No.
American. It was a merp. Teen princess. Look at me.
Don't I look fun?
Don't I look fun?
Okay.
I haven't brushed my hair in like 4 days.
Yeah,
Me neither.
I'm
Look at this.
so sweaty.
But before we start, can I tell a little story?
Yes, please.
God,
I need to
always.
get my head in the game.
So earlier, like an hour ago, I had a meeting with a financial advisor.
Oh God. Okay.
And I had told Corey, it's like, you're participating in this meeting. It's at 2:15. It's like online. It's a call.
Yeah,
Right.
it's like a Zoom.
Yeah.
Well, I didn't use those words. I just said it's a call. So a couple minutes before, it was like 2:14, and I was like, okay, come in for the meeting. And he's like, yep, I'll be right there. Heard him in the kitchen, whatever. He's like, you can get on the call. So I'm in the Zoom waiting room. Corey comes out of the kitchen with a plate full of hot dogs. And I'm like, the fuck are you? It's a video. It's a Zoom
It's catered. You said you wanted a catered,
meeting.
right?
And he goes, oh, fuck. Mouthful of hot dog. Oh, fuck, it's a video meeting? And, like, scampers back in the kitchen.
I love him so much. He looks like James Kennedy scampering off but with a
Totally.
plate of hot dogs.
Plate
How
of
many hot dogs?
2.5. He
so
mouthed
not-
a half of one, just mustard. There was mustard
Not
on the corner of
this
his
many
mouth.
hot dogs? Hold on. I promise you this will be worth it.
Oh my God.
Not this many hot dogs.
Oh.
Yum.
I've shown you that, right?
Where was that happening?
This was like after a show that Bill played with his band long ago, and it was like a catered out of something.
For the
So at
audio
this-
only folks, Amanda is holding up her phone, and the background image is Bill looking amazing next
full
to
widow's peak, like
Full.
really oh, it's 420.
Wow.
Idiot.
I hope my gummy kicks in right now.
Anyways, a lot of hot dogs. Okay, this is the True Crime Podcast. I think
really
we said
funny.
that. We're moving on.
It's really funny.
We have a very special gals pick this week, brought to you by us,
Yeah.
because it is hot. What is it? Hog Girl Summer.
It's Hot Girl Summer, baby. I want a very skimpy crop top that says Hog Girl Summer.
Is it too late to change your bridesmaid outfits?
It's really not. We've got, what, 8 days? Just kidding. We have more time than that, but it feels like 8 days.
Yeah. All right. We have selected the topic of Deathbed Confessions. A classic that I feel like I can't believe we
believe it.
haven't done this yet.
I don't even know if we've done a case that really had much of a deathbed confession like lean in. I know we've mentioned like pretty notorious serial killers who have like right before essentially being like put to death, or people who confess
Right.
things before they
Like
die,
last
but not
words
like
and stuff.
yeah, not like this though.
Yeah, this is like a heavy hitter that we're getting around to in year 6.
We got to spread them out.
Yeah,
Gotta spread them.
yeah. All right. Well, speaking of spreading them, what is our wine crime pairing?
I love it. I love it. I'm not drinking alcohol today because someone had fun during Pride weekend.
Oh, what'd you do?
I didn't participate in like any of the Pride events. I just went
You
to
counter
my
protested.
yes, I put in long hours at the Westboro Baptist Church. That's why I'm a little hoarse today.
Sick.
I worked really hard on my science. No, I like holed up at my gays, Robbie and Aaron's, like basically most of the weekend, and just drank and enjoyed copious weeds. And we watched like every season of Dragula. It was the best Pride ever. Have you watched Dragula?
What's Dragula?
Oh, it is far and away 1,000 times better than Drag Race. It is so good. It's like drag queens, but that are all like
horror.
Yeah, like creepy, spooky, fun, Halloween-y type people.
Cool.
And they compete to be like the most glamorous monster.
Oh, I like that.
And the challenges are so fucking cool. And then like they eliminate you with these elaborate and like oftentimes very stupid but really funny like horror movie death scenes.
Oh.
So they kill you off. You don't just get like eliminated by a panel. It's fucking awesome.
I like that.
It's all
you?
on it's all on Shudder on Amazon Prime.
Okay.
And it's so fucking good. And they did this really cool COVID special that we watched where they basically like went to the homes of a bunch of former season cast members and had them all compete with challenges from their own homes with like a professional film crew. But then the winner of the challenge of that little mini season or like interlude thing got a spot on season 4. So they were like competing for their comeback opportunity, and the production is so good. Oh, it's amazing. It's amazing. It's some of the coolest shit I've ever fucking seen. Anyway, Dragula, everybody. Enjoy.
Okay.
Zach drove the float in his school's Pride Parade.
Oh my God, that's so
His school's the only
cute.
only school in Louisville to participate in the Pride.
Did he wear your blouse?
He wore his own blouse with
He got
a
his
rainbow
own
on it.
blouse? Oh. Send pics. That's really cute.
I know, so cute.
So I'm personally not drinking, but I wanted to find a really fun cocktail today, and I found the Deathbed.
Whoa.
Literally the Deathbed Cocktail. And it sounds, I'm going to preface this. It sounds sweet. Okay. Which like on a hot summer day, I love a sweet cocktail.
Every once in a while, man.
But not everybody's into that. And if you're not into it, I don't know. We've got 6 years worth of other fucking pairings you can check out. I don't know what to tell you. Yeah. But this consists of an ounce of rum, like a specific kind of, it's called gold rum. I don't know.
Okay.
Agricole rum. I don't know what that is either, but I have this written down so that I can go get the ingredients and actually try it.
I love a cocktail with different types of rum.
Well, and rum, obviously, however it's like aged or prepared, they can all be really different. Spiced rum and like Malibu is like coconut rum. Like it runs the gamut. There's a ton of different kinds. So it's 2 different kinds of rum, an ounce of gold, 0.75 ounces of agricole rum, 0.75 ounces of cherry brandy,
Ooh.
lime juice, and pineapple juice. And then you can garnish it with a lime and like maraschino cocktail cherries.
This sounds right up my street.
It sounds really delicious, honestly. So you do it in a chilled glass. You don't have to shake it because you can just pour it over ice, but you can put it in a shaker. So you put the crushed ice in the glass, you give it a little swizzle, you pour in your drink, and then if you need to top it off with more ice, you do that, and then you just garnish it with your cherries and your lime, and you have this like really fun, kind of old school rocks cocktail. It sounds really good. And actually, Lucy, there's a version of it at a bar in Des Moines where in 2014, it won the best cocktail out of a panel of like 4 professional mixologists, and they all gave it a perfect score, and it was the only one that won that all night.
What bar?
I will find that out. Okay, so the Deathbed Confession was the only drink that earned a perfect score from all 4 judges. It also won the People's Choice Award that evening. This is like a contest that I guess the Iowa Restaurant Association does statewide like every year, or they were as of 2014. Oh, they mentioned fongs in this article.
Oh.
Okay.
So fucking good. Okay, the top 2 mixologists of 2014, according to the Des Moines Register, came from our own fair city. Rex Schultz from Splash wowed us with his take on the classic Last World cocktail, the Deathbed Confession.
Oh.
It is the only drink that earned a perfect score from all 4 judges. It also won the People's Choice Award that evening. Second place went to Amanda Schreiber from Creme Cupcake Plus Dessert, who made me a brown liquor drink, which is generally, this person says, generally against my principles. But honey sage sipper is what she made.
Yum. So I don't
yes,
think Creme
Splash.
has cocktails anymore, but they used to, and they were delicious. And I haven't been to Splash in a grip.
I'm sure. Well, this is from 2014. This is almost a decade old. But if they're
Yeah.
still around, maybe we take a little splash
Maybe I'll go
trip
there for my birthday.
and see if they still have the Deathbed Cocktail on their menu.
I
It's
feel like I always forget about rum, and it's great.
Oh,
yeah.
Never fucking sleep on rum. I am a Captain Diet bitch till the day I die. The second the clock strikes like 9:15 p.m., I have switched from gin and tonics to Captain Diets if I'm here to fucking party.
Yeah.
Because mama gotta wake up.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's the cocktail recommendation that I have today while I actually just sip an energy drink and wait for this gummy to kick in.
I thought your can said Jesus. It says Celsius, but I just saw the sus.
Jesus! It doesn't. It doesn't say that. Don't worry, y'all.
It doesn't say Jesus.
It doesn't say Jesus. I haven't
Yet.
switched sides.
It's like the breakdown of the Monster M
Oh my God. I
from the
love
Jesus lady.
that. Yes, that is an incredible video. Honestly, to be fair though, she makes good points.
She's might be onto
She's
something.
very compelling.
No
I'm
idea.
questioning.
We'll send it to you.
We'll find it and send it to you. In fact, I'll take a look right now while, we move on with the show.
We move on to Lucy's
Perfect.
segment, Background and Psych, for Deathbed Confessions.
I've got background and a little bit of psych.
Okay.
So, a deathbed confession is a confession that is made on a deathbed by a dying person shortly before their death. There are a lot of reasons why someone would feel like they must come clean before passing away.
Found it.
Oh, okay. For many, it is a way to relieve them from any guilt, regrets, secrets, or sins they might have held during their life.
I will have none of those.
No. Regret is not a thing that you have.
No.
Shame.
No.
No.
My brain
Embarrassment.
doesn't really have those. Whatever synapses those are, they got burned off a long time ago.
Burned off.
There they go.
They dusty from misuse.
Yeah.
Disuse.
Yes, they withered away and died.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I feel that.
So there are religious reasons why a person might partake in a deathbed confession. In many religions, people believe that if they confess their sins, they will be forgiven by a higher power, granting them entrance to a better place after their death. For example, in branches of Catholicism, people often believe that confessing to a priest is the first step in the preparation for death. These confessions clear the dying's conscience as the priest then confers them sacramental absolution. It's called the sacrament of penance. There are rites, R-I-T-E-S, different
Yep.
dying rites. In the Jewish tradition, there is a prayer of confession which is recited by the rabbi or an older family member along with the person who is dying. So, everyone just has this memorized for when they die?
I mean, I'm sure that depends on your level of religiosity. I'm sure plenty of Reform Jews do not have this memorized. I mean, there's the Kaddish, which is maybe this, which is more well known. So
okay.
maybe that's what this is referring to, in which case, more people do have that memorized.
Okay.
Because maybe that's something that you recite at Passover or something like that, because it's
Not Passover, but sitting Shiva.
a refreshing thing.
I know that the Kaddish is about death, a prayer around death, but I don't know who says it and exactly when and how often and whatever.
Got it.
This has more of a confession vibe. So I was thinking a starting over, a new year kind of a thing.
Yom Kippur is that. Yom Kippur is the serious day of atonement where you're supposed to ask for forgiveness, but not necessarily from God, more from the people that you've actually wronged in your life so that you can start the next year fresh.
Got it.
So you do that on Yom Kippur, and then a week-ish later, someone out there is screaming as I barely remember this.
You're doing a great job.
Is Rosh Hashanah, which is happy, and that's the start of the new year. So you
Okay.
clear everything out, you have a little transition period, and then you've got the new year.
Seems like more of a Yom Kippur vibe. But I'm probably wrong. We're all wrong.
Aren't we all?
Doing my best. Chick's a wife.
There we go. Catholic.
Write that country song. Chick's a wife.
Chick's a wife.
Oh, I hope it ain't twins again.
I need your Chick's a wife country song. You and Zach get to work on this and perform it at my wedding.
We do have road trip country bingo. We have this list of like 1,000 terms that are common in country music that we've crafted over the years.
What?
From like country lyrics, like
How have you held
like
on to that same note in your phone?
You know, or like, you know, county line, like all that
Sure.
kind of shit.
Florida Georgia line.
Yeah, and we have it, and so I keep meaning to like order custom bingo cards from Etsy, so we can actually play it next time. But anyway, okay.
Something referring to like the back screen door.
Oh yeah, screen doors a banging, jumping in the truck,
Yeah, something about
kicking
your
up
truck.
dirt.
Yeah.
There's so
Dogs.
many. Here, I'll pull it up.
Oh my
That's
God.
well. I'll just let's
guys
save
get the
this
gist.
for we get
You
it.
can
I
share
think
it
we
with
get
me,
it.
please.
Okay.
I want it.
So the recitation of this confession, the one that we don't know what it's called, is meant to help ease and reduce the anxiety of the person while at the same time asking for God's forgiveness. In Hinduism, there is a heavy emphasis on the concepts of karma and reincarnation. In order to increase their chances of coming back into a better life, many will carry out final acts to improve their chances in the next life. This can include confessions with religious figures, sacrifices, repentance, apologizing to people. So like you were saying, like not just to a higher power, but like actually impacting this plane of existence,
Sure. Okay.
and resolving any outstanding issues with others in hopes of increasing their good karma. Karma is like a cat purring on my
Karma
lap.
is my boyfriend. I danced around my bathroom to that song today.
It's a good song.
It's really fucking good.
But of course, these are not the kind of deathbed confessions that we're talking about today. We got juicier ones today. What happens if someone confesses to a crime on their deathbed? If they actually die afterwards, then nothing happens to them, obviously, but their confession could implicate others. One example of that being the case of, so apparently this is the biggest watch theft in history,
Okay.
like a watch.
Sure.
So this was Marie Antoinette's watch, which was stolen from the L.A. Meyer Museum in Jerusalem in 1983 by a guy named Naaman Diller, who was an Israeli thief who was, quote, a repeat offender who specialized in forgeries and break-ins and could scale walls and slip through small windows.
Okay, that would be handy as a cat burglar.
Yeah.
Terrifying. I don't love that.
So this guy was active in Tel Aviv during the 60s and 70s, after which time he married a woman named, this autocorrected to Nikki. I think it was Nimi Shamrat. And so what was the deal with this watch? Why was this watch such a big deal? It was made by a guy named Abraham Louis Breguet for Marie Antoinette. He was a big-time
snap.
watchmaker.
I think aren't those still fancy watches today? That brand?
Probably.
Yeah.
I think so.
I'm just so not a watch person that none of this registers with me, but it sounds really, really important.
I've bought a watch and then I just never I
wore
can't
it.
get it to.
I have a really cute watch. It's Anne Klein.
Cute.
And I had it like fitted and everything. It just has a cute little white face.
Cute.
Never wear it.
Yeah.
Oh, well.
I'm not a watch person.
Yeah.
I'd like to be, but we all have phones.
Yeah.
I know. It's like one of those things where like I fantasize about being a real adult.
Yeah.
It'll
And
never
that's
happen
part
for
of
you,
it.
honey.
And it just isn't ever going to happen, is it?
No. He's never going to leave
He's
her.
never going to leave her.
I think we're as adult as we're going to get, which is horrifying.
Isn't that sad? And then we're just going to get really old and then we're going to fucking die, dude.
Yeah.
We're going to be
Apparently maturity doesn't happen.
It's not so it's not so tantalizing after you're like 25.
Yeah.
You don't want to mature anymore.
Right.
no, make
You want
it
to
stop.
plateau
30.
indefinitely. Yeah, 30. I'd like to have the plateaued mindset of 30 with the body and capabilities I had at 25.
Stamina.
If you went
The
back
stamina.
to 25, it would feel like Lara Croft Tomb Raider. You just jump on things and climb things.
Yeah.
You could slip
Boys.
through small windows and scale
Yeah,
walls.
I could be a cat burglar.
Cat burglar. Literal Catwoman.
I think the emotional releasing of every last fuck I've ever had that I got in my 30s.
Yeah. It's worth the pain of aging to get to that point.
It.
It is.
Anything beyond this is gonna suck.
Released my last fuck through the process of giving birth,
Yeah.
and it is so
liberating.
liberating. It
Welcome,
feels
honey.
amazing.
Yeah.
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 It's real good.
Yeah.
It's
Anyway.
fucking real good.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's real nice in here.
So back to this Breguet watch. This watch took over 40 years to complete, and it wasn't finished until 1827, which was long after Marie Antoinette's time. There's a photo of the watch.
I don't think she was
So it was
40
made
when she
for
died.
her, but she never got to wear it because she died first.
commissioned it, but she never wore it.
I don't even know if she commissioned it or if he just started making it like in her name. You know what I mean? But
Yeah,
there's a
they'll do
picture of
that.
it, which will be on the blog. It's really ornate.
Oh, yeah. Wow. It's stunning.
So not only
It's very steampunk.
it's really steampunk. So not only had she died by the time it was finished being made, even Breguet himself had passed away with his son taking over the task of completing it.
Oh.
Breguet,
Bummer. He never even got to see the finished result.
he saw plenty.
But it must have had, like, he must have left, like, plans and designs then for it to be finished.
He must have, because he was known as the watchmaker of the kings and the king of the watchmakers. And his works
Ooh.
combined invention, innovation, and luxury into one timepiece. So he had like a fucking style.
That's badass.
Mm-hmm.
I'm looking at some Breguet watches right now. These
So
are
they're still,
Did
they
he,
still
like-
exist as a company, right?
Oh,
or are they
yeah.
all antiques?
No, this still exists as a company since
Did he, like, go mad from mercury
1775.
poisoning?
I hope so. Not that
Ugh,
I didn't
luck.
go that deep into it.
In my next life, I want to make hats, top hats the old school way, or watches.
Wow.
Okay, and I know exactly what I'm getting myself into.
Yeah, you've listened to
I
S-Town.
want it. Yes.
So good.
These don't list any prices.
That's never good. It
That's
means
a
you can't afford it,
great
babe.
sign.
Yep. Next website.
Oh,
Put in the brand name and then
How
put
much?
in dupes and see what Amazon tells you.
How much are they?
Guess.
It's millions. It's got to be like one of these watches is probably at least $1.5 million.
Oh,
I'm going to say hundreds of thousands.
Yeah. My brain didn't even go past 30,000. This one random watch that I was like, oh, that's cute, and just clicked on. No idea if it's even like on the high end. $583,500.
Yeah, there are Rolexes that cost more than that. It's crazy what they
But
fucking
this is
charge
like any
for this kind of
random.
shit.
This is like most people haven't even heard of this brand. Rolex is trash compared to this.
For sure.
Okay, so the watch that he constructed for Marie Antoinette was made out of gold and sapphires, and it was valued at over $30 million when it was recovered.
Damn. Because of its historical context, I'm assuming.
All of it. And
Yeah.
obviously, it's the way it was made and the materials it was made out of. So the watch ended up in this museum. It was stolen. And then Diller, the guy who did steal it, he was questioned, but there was no proof that he took it. There was no evidence. It was a dead end. They had no idea who stole it.
Wow.
So
we
he-
could have covered this person on the art theft episode.
Yeah.
We could have. So before his death in 2004, he confessed to his wife, Nimi, that he had indeed stolen that watch in 1983.
I want her to know. Tell Cersei.
It was me.
It was me.
I just wanted to know the time.
I want her to know. I just wanted to know the time.
I just wasn't a watch person.
I never wore it.
I want her to know 5:43 p.m.
So he died. She took possession of it along with a bunch of like antique valuables, which may or may not have been
he
stolen.
died.
Well, that was the Deathbed Confession. So
Funny how you said that.
So she hired a lawyer to negotiate the sale of these antiques because she just got a bunch from her husband who died. And she's like, I want to sell them.
Yeah, I don't know how much this
Deal with
fucking watch
it.
is worth.
Smart woman.
So the lawyer ended up selling it, and it made its way eventually back to the Meyer Museum where it was originally stolen from. That museum was like, the fuck?
Yeah.
So
that's ours.
they called
Look at the name tag.
They called in investigators, traced it back to her. She ended up confessing that he had confessed to the theft on his
Secondhand
deathbed.
confession.
So she was sentenced to probation
because she
and
knew
community
it was
service.
stolen and was trying to sell it anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah. If she had contacted the proper authorities.
Had he not told
That's why
her
you
that it
don't
was stolen,
Right.
had he not told her, then she would have
She
nothing
wouldn't be
to
liable.
confess, and she
Well,
wouldn't
she
be
also
liable.
could have just played dumb.
Yeah, she's, you know what?
Turns out she is dumb. Shouldn't have to play
You're an
it.
idiot.
This was a very, very high up overview of this whole situation. I'm
Could've
sure
been
there's a
hanging out
lot
on a-
more details.
On a cool 30 mil, you dum-dum.
So here's another deathbed confession from Ranker that will be familiar to you. Sightings of the Loch Ness Monster date all the way back to the 6th century, but the most famous photographic evidence of the
whale
creature's
penis.
existence comes from the 1930s. It's the famous photo that you're picturing in your head right now.
The whale penis.
In 1933, several people claimed to see the Loch Ness Monster, which increased interest in the mystery as well as tourism to the area. The so-called surgeon's photo, which was taken by Colonel Robert Wilson in 1934, captured the head of Nessie as the monster swam through the waters of Loch Ness. Wilson, who was a British surgeon, claimed that he'd been driving near the loch and saw something swimming, at which point he stopped to take the picture. He never wanted credit for the image, and that's why it was always called the surgeon's photo. It was like
He didn't want
anonymous.
his name attached to all of this stuff.
And until the 1990s, it was believed by many that he had captured actual proof of the monster's existence. This isn't to say that there weren't skeptics. In 1984, Stuart Campbell assessed the picture and decided that whatever was on the surface of the water couldn't have been more than 2 or 3 feet long and must have been some sort of explainable wildlife. So if you look at the picture, you can see why it does look small because of the ripples of the water around it.
Yeah.
Are
It-
really
I've
big
always
compared
thought
to it.
that.
Unimpressed. Yep.
But even Campbell was proven wrong, however, when Christian Sperling confessed at the end of his life on his deathbed that he had perpetrated the hoax and been part of the fake photo's creation.
Damn.
Was
So-
a surgeon in on it?
Yeah, I'll tell you. So Sperling was 90 years old when he passed away in 1994. And according to him, he was in cahoots with his stepfather and Loch Ness Monster enthusiast, a guy named Marmaduke Wetherell.
That's not a real.
What?
We found the real Loch Ness monster.
Marmaduke Witherwell?
Wetherell.
Okay, say
Get it right.
Sorry.
Marmaduke
Wetherell.
is the star of this.
Put
name.
some respect on his name.
Don't insult Marmaduke.
Keep Marmaduke Wetherwell out of your mouth. Holy shit.
Keep Marmaduke's name out your mouth.
Marmaduke.
So he was in
Wetherwell.
cahoots.
That's a good bunny name or future
Oh,
pet
it's-
name.
Marmaduke.
It's so good. My Persian
Marmy.
cat.
Oh,
Marmaduke. Marmy.
Oh,
Marm.
from Little Women. Marmy.
Oh, cute.
Oh my God, Marmaduke Wetherwell.
Okay, so he was in cahoots with his stepfather, Marmaduke, and also Wilson the surgeon
Ugh.
when he was sent a toy submarine with an animal head attached to the top of it. Like
It's a toy.
it was this. It's a toy submersible
Oh no.
with a toy animal head attached to it. So they sent it out into the middle of the lake. The picture was staged by Spurthing and Marmaduke, and then they handed off the photo to Surgeon Wilson to give it credibility as he presented it to the public. So he was able to more reasonably say, like, I just took this picture of this thing.
Uh-huh. I feel like there's something so deeply funny about like the dumbest toy of all time, a submarine with an animal head on it. Like you're fucking
Being
dumb.
this. Like people
Being
have spent
the most
people have
controversial
wasted their lives
entire lives
based on this photo.
This photo has withstood history. Like it will. Kids will be looking at this photo, learning about this in fucking 3030, assuming we don't totally.
We
burn
will
down
all
the
be
whole
gone
world.
by then.
But you know,
They'll be
it
like,
will be
wow,
gone.
what were lakes?
Yeah.
When you think of the Loch Ness monster, though, that's the image that
Yeah.
pops into your head.
And I've always thought that the head looks too small.
You were onto them.
Mm-hmm.
You were onto them, Ken.
Wow.
So there are other forms of deathbed confessions that don't involve a person dying admitting to a crime. According to Cornell Law School, a dying declaration is a statement made by a declarant who cannot testify in court, usually because they've died by the time of the trial.
Got it. Or maybe they were too ill to go because they were actively dying.
Yeah. If
Okay.
they're like in hospice care or something like that.
Sure.
So the declarant who made the statement under the belief that they were going to die soon. So as long as the declarant thought that they were going to die, this was their last chance, then it can be a dying declaration. Like that's the legal term for it.
All right.
In order for something to qualify as a dying declaration, the statement must relate to what the declarant believed to be the cause or circumstances of their death. This type of statement is a type of hearsay, but unlike a typical form of hearsay, it is admissible in court.
Interesting.
We'll talk about that a little bit in my case.
Okay. So, for example, if someone got shot and is
Sure.
aware that their chances of living are slim, they can make a statement to somebody nearby
I
about
saw who
who
shot me,
them.
and it's an admissible statement.
It's
Right.
admissible.
Oh, okay. Okay. This is wow.
Yeah,
Can
interesting.
you imagine?
hmm So to finish us out, here are some deathbed confessions from Reddit.
Yes. I'm glad you're doing this because I almost did this as my case, but then had to cover something else.
First two are sad, last one's kind of funny. This is from Thorn Beach. A couple of days before my grandmother passed away, she was really confused and was talking about my mother having a child a year or so after my own birth that was sent for adoption. Their words, not mine.
Mm-hmm.
She was talking about how sad and horrible this was and that I deserved to know. After my grandmother passed, I confronted my mom about this and she denied this and I believed her. A couple of months later, are you following?
Yeah.
Okay.
Grandma's like, you have a sibling. You're like, da fuck? You ask mom, and mom's like, nah,
no, you don't.
grandma's batshit.
Yep.
Ignore that.
Couple of months later, it turns out that my grandmother was the one who had had another child between the mother and the aunt and
way.
had
Place the
placed
child for
that
adoption.
child for adoption. So she was in her dying mind thinking that her granddaughter was
Her
the granddaughter's mother. Yeah, her daughter.
Right.
And
Oh,
saying, it was so
wow.
awful. You deserve to know you have a sibling.
She thought she was talking to her own kid.
hmm
Wow.
Oh. That's heavy.
That was a big revelation.
Mhm.
That's big, big, big. Whew.
Here's another
Ooh, I got
one.
chills.
From Caslin04. On my grandma's last days, she requested that my mom stay with her alone, and it was only then that she revealed that my mom wasn't her biological kid. My grandma confessed that
23andMe is doing a lot
of heavy
deathbed
lifting.
work for people.
Yeah.
ahead of
Deathbed
time.
work.
yeah, for real. This one is really sad.
Ugh.
So my mom was not her biological child. My grandma confessed that she had bought my mom from a child trafficking ring, which was common in China at the time,
Oh,
because
wow.
she had tried for many years and still couldn't get pregnant. My mom cried a lot, not only for the unimaginable pain that her biological parents likely went through in losing a baby, but also for the fact that my parents had went above and beyond to treat my mom as their little princess. They literally did treat my mom as their own. They were never abusive and only gave her the very best in life. They even willingly sent my mom to the U.S. for university education, even though they didn't have very much money. So
That's so heartbreaking for like everyone involved.
everyone involved, yeah. Okay, this is my last one and my favorite one. My mom told me about the death of her father, my grandfather, and his last words to her. She said he was on his deathbed and it was obvious he was nearing the end. He motioned for her to come over and tell her something. Come closer.
Oh, God.
She went over, leaned in close, expecting some declaration of his love for her or something deeply insightful. He said,
Pull my finger.
That will be you.
He said, the good silverware is hidden in the vent system 15 feet out from the furnace.
That'll be Zach. 1,000% Sonia. Yeah, but it won't be like the good silverware. It'll be like some other treasured object that he wants. Yes. My good street dogs are hidden in the ventilation system.
And Kenny's will be, my new Balances.
My New Balances.
My lawn mowing shoe collection. I saved them all for you.
They're all for you, Zachary.
So she looked at him like he was crazy. He said, what? We traveled a lot. That's where I hid it. That shit's expensive. He died the next morning.
You know what? That's good because there are a lot of people that take advantage of older folks. And
it's true.
Care workers, they come in and little shit starts to go missing around the house.
It very much happens. Yeah.
I have a deathbed confession from my grandma when she was dying that I just remembered.
Yes.
So this was really funny. She was in a hospital in Waterloo, but she had had surgery. She had a pancreatic issue, blah, blah, blah. She was dying. Yeah. So my family came down. All of my cousins were in the hospital and we kind of she had 20 some grandkids. So we all kind of lined up and we were going into her room to give her a last hug goodbye. And she hugged me and she said, you were always my favorite. And then I walked out and I heard her say to Lauren behind me, you were always my favorite.
I knew it.
She said that to every single one of us.
That's really cute.
I know. You were always my favorite.
You're always my favorite. I love that. That's fucking adorable. That's the way to do it.
I think I told my mom, and my mom's like, she's on a lot of morphine right now.
Oh, as she should be. Good for her.
Yeah.
Oh my God. That's good.
Anyway.
That's really good.
I love that. Well done.
Thanks. Yeah.
Thanks,
all right.
thanks.
Well, we're gonna, in my case, hear from somebody else who's not as cute and sweet as Lucy's grandma.
Oh no. A less adorable.
Quick word from our sponsors first.
Yeah. Y'all, I have complex hair needs and I gotta do right by this hair, okay? I'm always trying to find the best products that are gonna make my color last, that are gonna take good care of my extensions. And when it comes to my hair and scalp health, finding a product that actually works and is made with clean ingredients always seems like a trade-off. It's really annoying. But with Vegamore, I get products that are made with clean ingredients and give me visibly healthy hair and scalp without stripping all the color that I worked so hard on.
Yeah, and paid so much for.
Yeah!
With Vegamore, we are able to have visibly thicker, fuller, shinier, longer hair, all of the above, all without harsh ingredients. All Vegamore products are 100% cruelty-free and are never formulated with potentially harmful chemicals like parabens or hormones. I got my Vegamore in my shower right now. And along with my fresh trim I got last week from my friend Shad, my hair just looks absolutely amazing. It's just thicker. I've never had thick hair in my life. It looks good. It smells good. I use the whole system. I got the Grow Serum going. I just put a couple drops on my scalp, rub it in. It's amazing. Their
it's
whole
a spa
system
moment.
Is so good. What's even better is Vegamore's value kits. Like I said, the Grow Essentials kit, where you get to try more than one amazing product at great savings. When you sign up for a monthly subscription, you save even more, and you never run low on the products you need to take care of your hair. You always got a little stockpile. The key is consistency in your routine for your most beautiful, healthy-looking hair. We use Vegamore Grow Hair Serum daily, and our hair and scalp are flourishing. And one more fun fact, Vegamore sells one bottle of Grow Serum every 15 seconds on their website. Half of that is from me.
Yeah.
That is how good this stuff is.
It's so good. So give yourself the hair you never thought you could have with Vegamore. For a limited time, Wine and Crime listeners get 20% off their first order by going to vegamore.com/gals and using code GALS at checkout. That's vegamor.com/gals, GALS. Code GALS to save 20% on your first order. One more time, vegamor.com/gals and code GALS. And treat your hair.
Straight it.
Okay, my case.
Oh, God.
Fucking wow. A lot of lessons to be learned.
Okay.
Okay. Joyce Dean Goodiner was born on July 2nd, 1960.
Cancer
She's a
queen.
cancer.
We both cry a lot.
Yeah.
Aw.
In the East Nashville area, she was one of 9 siblings, 7 girls and 2 boys.
That's too many people
Yeah,
coming out of your
Definitely
puss.
Catholic.
And when Joyce grew up, she too wanted children, having 3 daughters, Sonia, Lakita, and Lawanda.
Lakita. That's cute.
La Quinta.
But Joyce's life took a downward turn when she became addicted to drugs. She was homeless for a time, but she did not have a criminal record except for a drug charge in 1994, which is a
Who
year.
doesn't? It's 1994.
Right. They were hard asses. No, but she had a very serious drug problem. And that was a year before this case takes place. So fast forward to July 5th, 1995, just a few days after Joyce's 35th birthday. She is unfortunately still in the throes of her addiction, mainly to crack cocaine. I couldn't find that much more information about Joyce as a person, unfortunately, which sucks. Like sometimes it's really hard to find information about the victims of these crimes.
Yeah.
Especially someone who may have. When did she die? The 90s.
Yeah, 1995.
Yeah. It's just, and if she died from a drug related incident,
It's
the media-
not, but it's adjacent.
sure. But yeah.
The
It doesn't
stigma.
shock me that the
Yeah.
stigma that the media is not,
Yeah.
honoring her.
So on that day, July 5th, around 11:10 a.m., James Roy Smothers III. Smothers. He's a good guy. He's fine. He's not a bad person in this.
Is it
smother anyone.
Mothers or Smothers?
Smothers
Is his last name.
is his last name. James Roy Smothers III.
Who? James Roy Smothers who? Who did he smother?
And his 16-year-old stepson were driving towards Nashville when they came across what looked like an abandoned house on fire with smoke billowing out of the windows. So they pull over, they go towards the property to see
What's up?
what the fuck's going on. And they enter through a glassless window because, again, it's an abandoned property.
Sure.
So a lot of the glass and stuff was already out of these windows. So they get in order to check to see if anyone was still inside, maybe needing to be rescued.
Oh, wow.
Inside, they see that a pile of rugs was on fire. And so the men then looked around the room and they saw a discarded mattress in a different corner of the room. And they pick up the
shit.
mattress and they haul it over to the pile of rugs.
My God, they were fire.
They were
people.
fighting this fire. These just
They knew what to do. This is impressive.
very impressive. And they probably saved a lot of evidence by doing this.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, exceedingly brave. And they were literally just driving down the street and just decided to run in and help.
That's so scary.
Wow.
So they move this mattress, they put the mattress on top of the rugs, they put the fire out. Then I think they lift it up again, maybe.
Okay.
And that is when they saw a pair of human legs sticking out of the rolled up rugs.
No! Human legs, no!
Panicked, the men ran out of the building and got in their car and went to find a telephone to call the police because, again, it's 95, so they don't have cell phones.
Sure. Yeah.
So police arrived on the scene, which they knew to be an abandoned house that also used to serve as a church back in the day called the Church of the Living God. But now it's just empty. In addition to the body of a woman wrapped in the rug, there was also a bloody cinder block lying either on or very near her head. I read different reports. There was
Yikes.
clearly the murder weapon.
Yep.
One small mercy is that forensics found that the victim was dead before her body was set ablaze. So she was definitely
Not like burned alive, trapped under a cinder block.
Right. So she was basically struck in the head with the cinder block and died of blunt force trauma. And then her body was rolled up into these rugs, and then the rugs were set alight.
Sure. Okay.
So it was hard to identify the body initially, but fingerprints eventually matched a drug charge arrest from the year before, and it was Joyce Dean Goodiner. Joyce's last known address was a homeless shelter, which led investigators to believe that she was estranged from her large family at the time of her death.
Mm-hmm.
But she'd had a boyfriend named Luther Wynn, who was brought in for questioning. Luther said that he was with Joyce the night before her murder, but that he'd left for work at 2 a.m. I don't know what he did.
Okay.
And Wynn's work confirmed this, conclusively alibying him from 3:30 a.m. to 12:30 p.m. the day of the murder.
Okay.
And I guess that ruled him out because they could judge the time of death, and it was
Not within those.
timelines. Within that timeline of when he was definitely at work.
Couldn't have been. Okay. Yeah.
So when asked if he could think of anyone else who would spend time with Joyce or who maybe would, want to hurt her, Luther named a man named James Murray Washington. Couldn't find that much else out about James Washington other than he's a mess.
Oh, dear. Real piece of shit.
Yeah. So you'll glean enough about him in what's to come. So police track down Washington and they go to his house, but he's not there, but his girlfriend, Rosalind Butler, is. She tells police that she and Washington have lived together for 2.5 years, but that she actually had just told him to move out due to his escalating hard drug use and the fact that she was sick of his fucking shit.
Sure. Okay. Good for her.
So on the day of Joyce's murder, Rosalind saw James leave for what she assumed was work, like he was scheduled to work. At around 6:30 a.m. But when she returned home later that day, he was already back home when he shouldn't have been, saying that he'd clocked out early around noon. She was like, okay, weird, why?
Yeah.
And police would later find out that actually Washington hadn't shown up for work at all on July 3rd, 4th, or 5th,
So
the day
people
of
were
the
just
murder.
covering for him.
Well, he'd left for work and the girlfriend assumed he was going to work. They probably weren't communicating that great because she'd already told him to move out soon.
I just mean people at work who may have confirmed his alibi, saying that he was at work when he actually
No
wasn't.
one confirmed the alibi. That's just what his girlfriend knew.
Got it.
Nobody confirmed the alibi. Nobody covered for him at work, as far as I know. I don't know what work he did, but it sounds like he was kind of an unreliable guy. He's also using a lot of drugs. So
they probably would have stuck their necks out for him anyway.
And maybe
had they been questioned.
Him like not pitching for a few days in a row, like maybe wasn't that surprising.
Yeah. Okay.
So Washington hears that police want to question him, and he does make himself available. He doesn't like wait to be tracked down again or like, subpoenaed or have a warrant put out for him or whatever. So they interview him. Here's a list of the things that he claimed to have done on the day of Joyce Goodiner's murder. He was very busy.
He's very busy.
Very busy. He's got a lot on his plate. Drove to work at 6 a.m.
Ish.
Decided to not go to work and instead just drove around.
You're never driving around. No one drives around.
Unless it's us in 2004
Unless you're a
listening to the
teenager
mixes
in the
that
suburbs.
you made. Yeah, exactly.
No adult just drives around.
Well, he definitely
I do on my scooter.
met up with a woman named Lucy.
No.
Why are there so many ties to me?
I know. To smoke crack. No kidding.
Luck.
Again?
It's always connected to me.
But yeah, met up with a woman named Lucy to smoke crack, which is definitely what he was doing, just driving around, was like looking for a hookup or something.
Smoking crack at 6 a.m. You're setting yourself up for a bad day.
Yeah.
Sounds rough.
Yeah.
Sounds rough.
Yeah.
Would love it.
Kept on driving around randomly, but eventually ran out of gas. Walked over to his friend Lala's house.
OMG.
To ask for a gas can and some money. She didn't have any, though, so he just, quote, walked around to get $2, end quote. Like picking up change or
panhandling maybe.
For money.
Yeah. Gathered the money and bought $2 worth of gas. ran into Joyce, who asked him if he was doing anything and if he had any drugs on him that he could share with her. They agreed to an exchange of drugs for sex. James and Joyce then drove to an alley, had sex, and then drove to Joyce's friend Henry's house at her request. Mm-hmm. Washington told investigators that Joyce had gotten out of his vehicle, told him to wait there for 30 minutes, and then went inside the house. Like, he was supposed to just, like, wait. And I don't know, maybe she was picking up more drugs, like, whatever she was doing there. Right. James said that he waited 45 minutes for her, but that she never came out of the house, so he just left and went home. So that's his description of his day, which sounds exhausting.
Not real. Yeah. I mean, that too.
But detectives were suspicious of Washington's timeline. And they also noted that a witness named Lisa Cowell, who was just didn't know any of these people, she just was like a passerby, had seen a person matching his description, although it was not a close view. She just saw like someone by height and build.
Checks the boxes.
Basically.
Yeah.
And a car similar to his, which she described as a dirty black Camaro, which aren't they all?
Yeah.
But anyway.
Any black car is dirty.
Yeah.
It is.
And actually, his car is like a dark gray with black stripes, but it could just look like dirty black if you were looking at it from far away.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Outside of the abandoned church where Joyce's body was found, and she saw this figure in this car there at around 10:30 that day. But then when she drove past the spot again at around 11 a.m., so probably on her return trip or whatever, the car was gone. So he was there at some point around 10:30 and then gone by 11, which tracks with the other witnesses who arrived at 11:10 and he was not there.
Okay.
And it tracks with the time that the fire was set, right?
Got it. Yep.
So investigators get a warrant and search Washington's car, but they were unable to find any evidence tying him to the crime. Because of the condition it was in after the fire, Joyce's body was not able to be tested for like epithelial DNA or like semen or anything.
And it was the 90s, right?
And it's the 90s, so...
Yeah, so it's still kind of in its infancy anyway.
So James is definitely a suspect, and the detectives on the case believed he was the murderer, but they didn't have enough to arrest him or even like charge him with anything. Mm-hmm. So Joyce Goodner's murder remained unsolved for the next 14 years.
Ugh, God, her poor family.
She had 9 kids.
Yeah.
No, she's one of 9. She has 3 daughters.
Her 3 kids.
Right.
Lots of her 8 siblings and her 3 daughters. And all that time, all those 14 years, James Washington was a free man. Except, well, not actually, because old James was getting up to all other kinds of sketchy shit. And
so he's like in and out of jail.
Soup landed himself in prison at least one other time.
Okay. I mean, that's at least one silver lining of getting away with that.
Yeah. I don't super know what other crimes. There was basically, I'm working from like one regurgitated article about this case.
Yep, it happens.
Yeah. So I've padded as much as I can. But all I know is that in 2006, more than a decade after Joyce Goodner's murder, James Washington was found guilty of an unrelated second-degree murder and was sentenced to 15 years in prison. So he is now in prison.
For murder, just not this murder.
Unrelated.
Okay.
Fast forward to March 3rd, 2009. James is a prisoner, and he reports experiencing severe chest pain, and he gets seen by the prison doctor, which, like, you have to really be experiencing, like, severe chest pain to get seen by the prison doctor, because they're fucking monsters, and they don't
give a shit.
They don't give a shit
about you. Yeah.
He was also experiencing seizures, or he claimed that later. I'm not really sure, unclear. Definitely chest pain.
Mm-hmm. It's not good.
The doctor didn't think that he was in grave danger, but to be safe, inmate Washington is sent to Nashville General Hospital to be looked over. He was not given any medication at the prison before being transported to the hospital by prison transport guards. So they just put him in the truck. Now, we know that sometimes people will get away with a crime, but still feel the need, especially at the end of their life, like Lucy said, to confess to their crimes in order to unburden themselves.
Wait,
or maybe prepare their soul for the afterlife.
Maybe.
Mm-hmm. Make sure you go to heaven.
Yeah.
James.
Good luck.
But guess what? When you do this, there are no take backs.
Yeah, no takeies backsies.
So Washington is sent to Nash Gen. He is seen by the medical staff there, and they give him some medication to calm him down.
And he thinks he's dying.
He's having severe chest pains, and he thinks he's dying.
This is incredible. I know exactly where you're going to go with this. I love this. Okay.
They gave him diltiazem and lisinopril for blood pressure.
Lorazepam,
Yeah.
diaphragm, lorazepam.
Zatarans,
In my diaphragm.
lorazepam.
Zatarans, lorazepam, right straight to my diaphragm.
For blood pressure.
Administered by diaphragm.
And Haldol, which is an antipsychotic medication for treating schizophrenia or bipolar disorder, apparently.
Lots of calm down meds.
Calm down meds. Because he's super freaked out about these chest pains because he thinks he's dying.
Yup.
It's been a bit of a drama king.
Yes. Then, lying in his hospital bed, Washington signals to the prison transport guard who's like standing across the room, like, come here, like, come closer.
Go closer.
Come closer.
The good silver is in the vent behind the furnace.
Yeah. So the prison transport guard is named James Tomlinson. There's also a picture of him on the drive. He just looks like
Some
he
guy.
just looks like exactly his job.
Oh, no.
Wait, I gotta look at this.
Oh, he really does. His
That's
fucking face.
Definitely that guy.
Oh, my God.
His mustache.
I know. I know. He just was like, "Oh, you fit."
No.
You were made for this career.
That was meant for you.
So Washington's in bed. He's been given this calm down meds. He thinks he's dying. He waves the prison transport guard, just the guy who was like there to make sure he doesn't escape,
Oh,
over
no.
to his deathbed.
It's like wave over the most mandated reporter available, sir.
Yeah, really.
Why not?
Surgeon's not available.
So
Washington
your prison guard will do.
Washington said, quote, "I have something to get off my chest and I need you to hear this. I killed somebody. I beat her to death."
Oh my God.
Really couldn't
I mean, we knew, but like hearing those words out loud is very scary.
could not have been any clearer.
Yeah.
Tomlinson, flabbergasted, goes and gets another police officer to co-witness what the prisoner has just admitted to him because he doesn't know if this fucker's dying.
Pause.
Sure.
BRB.
Just keep breathing.
Hold that thought.
Just deep, steady breaths. I'll be right back.
Yeah, but he's like, I need this. I don't want this to be hearsay. Like, I need another witness to hear this, which is very smart of him. Washington then gives the same confession a second time
He did it twice.
to Tomlinson and the other officer who was just brought in, confessing that in the past he'd killed a woman, quote, named Joyce Good something.
So almost exactly her name.
Her name is
Recalled.
Joyce
Recalled.
Goodener.
Yeah, exactly.
And they were friends, so he like knew her, kind of knew her name. Like, yeah. The guards then immediately informed Nashville PD about James's extraordinary confession. Obviously, Washington only confessed to this murder because he thought he was going to die and was seeking forgiveness at the end of life. Absent a priest handy, although I feel like I don't know what his actual religion is, if anything. I feel like maybe in prison he converted to Islam, but I don't know that for sure. Absent a religious figure handy,
Sure.
he chose to confess to a prison guard and to a cop. Quote, there's no indication that Washington ever spoke of the murder prior to his deathbed confession. So he never told any girlfriends, any other friends. He didn't like shoot his mouth off at a bar. Like,
wow. I'm actually kind of shocked.
yeah.
The first man who ever kept his mouth shut about
At a bar.
one of these fucking murders. Yeah.
And maybe if he did convert to Islam or a different religion in prison, that, you know, exacerbated his need to get it off of his chest.
I'm completely speculating about that. It's just there are several photographs of him wearing like a white, like skull cappy type thing that I
Yeah.
feel like indicates
has at times
Being
been
Muslim?
associated
Yeah.
with. Yeah.
But that's all I know. He also, though, falsely believed that there was a statute of limitations for his case, but like
On murder?
Murder?
He
My
was
dude.
Nah, honey. My dude. I don't know how to tell you this, bro.
there is no
You sure about
that?
You sure about that? You sure about that?
You transform into that guy.
I love him. You sure about that?
Corey watched the
You sure
Corey
about
watched
that?
the one
Uncanny.
with the court, the text transcript reading about the guy with the
Hat.
hat. He was dying in the other
So
room.
good. For those at home who do not know what we're talking about, watch I Think You Should Leave on Netflix, and we will give you no other context. I didn't fucking do this.
Okay.
I didn't do any of this.
Okay.
So there's no statute of limitations on murder in Tennessee or any other
Clear
state.
that up.
So things were a little awkward when just days later, Washington made a full recovery from his heart attack.
It was just gas.
It was just
At which point he tried to take back his confession. To be fair, though,
honey. No.
I thought I was dying.
Now
Like,
that I'm
my
not,
chest
I don't.
really hurt, though.
I was just
was
kidding.
JK,
Yeah.
you can't believe what I say when I'm
Under duress.
fully lucid.
So a deathbed confession from the prime suspect was just what police needed to reopen this cold case, and he was quickly charged with Joyce Goodner's murder.
Wow.
Now, sometimes a person in Guard Tomlinson's shoes who heard a confession like this might not be able to testify because it would just be considered hearsay. Objection. Hearsay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Enhance.
Enhance.
But Tomlinson got a backup witness involved, which was very good thinking. And apparently, in a court of law, like we talked about before, deathbed confessions are thought to be more trustworthy than average run-of-the-mill confessions because it's believed that people are more likely to want to unburden themselves and are less likely to lie because they don't have anything, presumably, to gain if they're about to die.
Right.
So it's like not considered hearsay where it otherwise would be, which is amazing.
That's so interesting. I never knew that.
No, me either.
Yeah, I didn't either.
So scrambling now that he is fully recovered and has been charged with a murder and may face the rest of his life in prison or worse, because I feel like Tennessee has the death penalty, but I could be wrong about that. Washington tries to backtrack and claim that he was hallucinating due to the drugs that he'd been given for his heart attack.
I don't think so, boss. You
Good
did
try,
it two
though.
times. You repeated yourself verbatim.
But medical experts for the prosecution testify that the drugs he was administered do not cause side effects like hallucinations or delusions, and instead simply were a mild sedative and used to reduce his heart rate.
Just calm
Right.
down drugs.
Yeah. They basically gave him a thunder shirt.
Which doubles as a compression garment that can help with gas.
Oh, and a straitjacket to help if you go crazy.
Try to escape.
Yep.
I want a thunder shirt.
I do too,
Right?
just for
Sounds
daily
great.
use.
But like
Just for
vented.
confronting the thunder that is my existence.
A chilled thunder shirt.
Oh my God,
Yeah.
there was a tornado, whatever, warning last night, and Zach was out of the house, so I had to get myself and Sonia and Josie down into our dirt cellar.
Ugh.
You guys
And
go to the cellar a lot.
Yeah, you'll start to desensitize and not rush to go to the cellar anymore, even with a kid.
it was,
They're in Tornado Alley, though, kind of.
yeah,
It's
it
true.
felt very
It's
close.
true.
I don't go down every time, but it was real close. Anyway,
I'm not going down till I see a funnel. You hear me, Loretta?
She's a warm-blooded Minnesotan.
Yeah. Oh, look, the sky is green. Get your cameras.
anyway, it was
Come
super,
to the garage.
it was super green and there was hail.
Grab me a beer.
It was really weird. Okay, but we get down there and Sonia is like so busy. Like she's such like an active, busy baby, but she's like not walking yet. You know, she's 8 months, but she's like standing and crawling and just always going.
God.
So
Get her some calm down drugs.
Yeah, get her a thunder shirt.
Sure.
I know. So we get down there and I'm like, it's a dirt cellar, whatever. I can't hold her and close our heavy ass door lid, storm door, cellar door, whatever.
Lid. I can't close our lid.
So
It's the scene from Wizard of Oz.
yeah.
It is.
So I put down a blanket on the dirt and was like, just sit here for 4 seconds while I go and
fucking seconds,
close-
for God's sake.
close this lid.
So we don't fucking die down here.
And I turn around. It's half a second. Turn around. She has gotten herself up and then promptly face planted onto the dirt. She's covered. She looks like a child from a bombing.
Dude, babies are
dirt.
so dumb. It's hilarious.
Up her nose, just dirt.
Oh, she's screaming.
Screaming. Called Zach and was like, where the fuck are you?
You're gonna need to go home, boss. I don't care if there's a funnel outside. You get here.
Where was he?
Now.
He was at
Is that
the
at
gym.
Oh, for
Ew.
fuck's sake.
Oh,
Yeah.
God,
No.
I'm gonna throw up.
No.
Okay.
No.
Anyway, that was a long story about how I'm a terrible parent. Okay.
Whatever. You went to the cellar. It's fine.
Not
We
long
gave her a
enough.
bath. She's fine. We watched Miss Rachel. She's fine. Okay. So the state argued that indeed the medications actually helped Washington be in an appropriate state of mind and lower his blood pressure, and that he was like less lucid when he was freaking out.
Like, we've calmed you down so that you can
Think straight.
really think about what you're saying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Another witness called by the defense, however, testified that some of the drugs that he was on may cause hallucinations, but that these are a very rare possible side effect. And also, this witness was literally a Walgreens pharmacist
Incredible.
that the defense called in, and the judge
Incredible.
wouldn't let them be referred to as an expert witness. So they were brought in as a lay witness to
You still have
discuss
to go to a
the
lot of
medication.
school.
I
No,
love
I know.
a petty
I'm-
judge, though.
I'm
I
not
love a
saying
petty
this
judge.
about pharmacists, but a judge did, and that's
Pretty
funny.
though. It's pretty funny. I love it.
Wow.
Even the pharmacist dismissed the hallucination theory in this case, though, stating that Washington's confession seemed too lucid and direct to have been hallucinatory. And saying that if he was delusional at the time, his confession would have been, quote, much more elaborate, which, like, being like, I killed someone, I beat her to death, this was her
Yeah,
name.
This was her name. That's it.
Like-
just the facts, dude.
Yeah. He also named the victim, like we said. So after a 3-day trial, the jury found him guilty of first-degree murder, and the judge sentenced him to life in prison. But he wasn't quite ready to throw in the towel just yet. His defense lodged an appeal claiming that the confession should be thrown out because he wasn't Mirandized just before making it.
But he wasn't under arrest. It was just a medical emergency. So why would they read him his rights?
Correct. He was being guarded because he's a prisoner, but he wasn't
Yeah.
under arrest
Again.
again.
He was
for
still
any
in
reason.
custody.
Yeah, but well, you can't just, you're not just going to read them their Miranda
That's what I'm
rights.
saying. He's still
Yeah.
in custody, so why would they have reread his
Exactly.
Miranda
He's
rights?
not under arrest. Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
Right. So that's exactly right. The appeal was denied because the confession was given without him having been, quote, summoned by the officers, and he wasn't under arrest, and so therefore didn't have to be read them. Also now with the Supreme Court, I think you just don't have to be read them at all. I don't know.
No.
Thanks, Clarence Thomas. I have no fucking idea.
Oh, good. That's good for democracy.
Yeah. So had James Washington not given his deathbed confession, he would have been a free man today because the time that he was serving for the other murder was not life. So he would have
Wow.
been out.
Wow.
And Joyce Goodner's family would likely have never gotten justice for their mom's
Yeah.
tragic death.
Yeah. That's wild.
And this is a fun line from the Daily Mail. Quote, while he hoped for absolution, what he got instead was a medical miracle and a murder charge.
I want to hear Keith Morrison say that. And a murder charge. They made love. and They made love.
Yeah, so that is,
Wow.
Don't confess unless you know for sure you're dying.
Yeah. I, like, really, really got to know your damn.
Wow. Nice.
Too risky.
That was a good
Well
case.
done. It was a great case.
Yeah. Fun, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's hear a quick
Sure
word
you're,
from the sponsors.
yeah. Those old things. The spotsies. Are you ready for my case?
Yes.
I learned a lot. I learned a lot from this. It's also timely considering what day it is, and we'll get to it.
Monday.
Yeah.
No.
A random day in June?
Not so random. But anyway, Norma McCorvey is a name that you likely or may not at all know off the top of your head.
Marmaduke Wetherell.
Marmaduke. She was born on September 22nd, 1947, a Virgo, and grew up in Lettsworth, Louisiana before her family moved to Houston, Texas. She had a very challenging childhood. Her father left when she was only 13, leaving her and her older brother to be raised by their mother, who struggled with alcoholism and was, according to them, abusive to both her and her brother. She sought some comfort from their Pentecostal church community, but often acted out as troubled teens do. And apparently when she was like 11, maybe 12 years old, she and her BFF like robbed a gas station.
Oh, okay.
As you do.
And then scurried off and got a motel room outside of town to hide out in. And like, again, they were
Who's renting?
12.
Who's like, yeah, here are the keys.
So they successfully lied about their ages by either just trickery or like fake IDs. I'm not sure, but it was also the 50s, so it probably wasn't like all that hard to trick someone. Magic.
Well, they just didn't give a shit.
Yeah,
Didn't give a shit.
They just didn't ask. Yeah.
You got
Yeah, probably.
$5. Great.
While they were hiding out, a maid came to clean the room and caught the two young girls kissing.
Ooh.
In a response that likely was fueled by homophobia, the maid contacted management, who contacted the authorities.
Can
So
you
it's like, oh,
imagine?
you're kissing, but then it's like, oh, wait, you're also like 12.
Yeah.
What's going
Better
on?
call this one in. I can't imagine. No.
Yeah, robbing the gas station and like running away and getting a motel room at 12 didn't.
That was
nobody
so beyond
batted
my
an eye.
capability.
And
Yeah.
then two girls kiss and they've got the cops called.
What
Yeah,
a love
pretty
story.
much.
That's exciting. Bonnie
Sure,
and Bonnie.
Yeah. Bonnie and Bon. Bon and Bon.
Bonnie and Clit.
So the girls were picked up. Young Norma was made a ward of the state and sent to a state-funded Catholic boarding school to be cared for and, like, quote, rehabilitated. I'm sure they did some unspeakable things there.
Horrible.
She attended a handful of boarding schools throughout her tweens, but had the best experience at the Gainesville, Texas State School for Girls.
I'm sure she did.
She felt, well, yeah. Lesbian! This poor woman, but yeah.
No, I'm sure she endured horrific abuse.
Yeah, no, she probably did, but she said that this was the school and place that she felt safest, and that even when she would go home for like long weekends or school breaks, she'd have to go stay back with her mother, and she
Didn't want to be there.
didn't want to be there, so she would act out intentionally on home visits to be sent back
Early.
to the Gainesville State School for Girls. So she did leave that school around the age of 15, but did not want to move back in with her mother, so she moved in with her mother's cousin, an older man who she trusted. Some reports indicate that this older man raped Norma, but when Norma's mother discovered this, she took her from his home and brought her back to her home. So, like, yes, Norma's mother was abusive, but also she was like, fuck that. I'm getting you out of there. She confronted her cousin, who maintained that these allegations were false. And as far as I know, nothing was ever like filed for this, but that certainly does not mean that this did not happen.
But it sounds like the mom, for all her faults, believed
in.
Norma. Okay.
Believed her, stepped in, and brought her home. So now she's back home. She's miserable. She gets a job at a local restaurant and meets Woody McCorvey, which is how she got the last name McCorvey, who was 2 years her senior. The two fell madly in love, and with the permission of Norma's mother, she married him at 16 years old.
Oh my God.
They got pregnant immediately.
Yeah. 16 and 18.
Yep. But the marriage ended before the child was born. They got divorced before the baby was even born.
Oh.
Which, like, good for you, honey. This was probably the right move.
Yeah.
Months or years in at that age.
They really are. Norma alleged that he was physically violent with her, and so she left him before the child was born. So she leaves him, she has her child, and then she leaves the child primarily in the care of her mother. after the birth of her baby girl, who was named Melissa, and sort of like a spoken agreement adoption of Melissa by her mother. It's not on paper. But Norma falls deeply into depression, and she starts using like hard drugs and alcohol to cope.
Well, she's had quite the life, and she's 17.
16.
Yeah.
Yeah. Around this time, she discovered her sexual identity and came out as a lesbian. Meanwhile, baby Melissa was being kind of used by Norma's mother to like teach Norma a lesson. In one instance, Norma left town for the weekend while her mother cared for Melissa. And again, Norma was still like living in the home with her baby and her mom, despite not being baby Melissa's full-time caregiver. But it's not like a legal adoptions or whatever situation. It's just like, this is what we're doing.
She's kind of in and out. Yeah, it's all informal.
Yep. So while Norma's gone, her mother calls the police to report Norma for abandoning her baby, and had the police come and like evict Norma from the home and didn't let Norma see baby Melissa for months.
Oh.
And then the dust kind of settled on that fight, and eventually Norma was allowed to move back in. And a few months after she moved back in, she was presented with papers to sign with her mother saying like, oh, these are insurance documents for you and baby Melissa. We just need your signature as the guard, like the parent.
But it wasn't.
But it wasn't. They were actually adoption papers, and Nora's mother had literally like tricked her into signing them, and then she filed them and kicked Nora out of the house, gaining sole legal custody of baby Melissa.
Dang it.
Damn.
So it's a pretty toxic place
Yeah.
and a really tragic situation. So now she's out on her own. She's making ends meet via survival sex work. Nora falls pregnant again and gives birth to another baby girl who she places for adoption. And then years later, she finds out she's pregnant for the third time in 1969. By this time, she's 21 years old.
Oh, God.
And she goes back to Dallas to consider her options. Abortion was not legal in Texas at the time, but could be legally obtained through extenuating circumstances like rape or incest.
Yeah, you had to like literally go in front of a panel.
And then to trial about it, like to court. So abortion's not legal, but like her friends are like, hey, if you, a white woman, claim you were raped by a black man,
Oh, they'll approve it.
everyone will believe you and the state will grant you a legal abortion.
Oh my God. Just the layers of that.
Yep.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
What a
It's-
loophole. That's sick.
It's horrifying. I mean, yes, it is a loophole. However, she does have to, if she makes a claim like this, she has to be able to provide evidence of it. And due to a lack of police evidence or documentation, this plan was not successful. She was denied a legal abortion, and she later confessed that it was a fabrication entirely.
So the baby's father wasn't black anyway?
I don't believe so.
Okay.
It's possible, but I have
If
no...
she's engaging in survival sex work, she
could be.
have
We have.
no
She might not
idea.
have any idea.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
I forgot about that part. Okay.
Mhm.
And it's not even like she's straight. Like she's engaging in
No.
sex with men
Right.
for work, not
For- yeah.
pleasure.
Right.
Exactly. Then she attempts to get an illegal abortion, but the recommended clinic had been closed down by authorities for just that. Her primary care doctor suggested that she consult Henry McCluskey, who is an adoption lawyer in Dallas, because it's looking like your options are
Narrowing.
closing now, narrowing. Let's think of the next steps. She makes it clear that she's only interested in abortion resources, but agreed to meet with this lawyer anyway just to see if he had any recommendations, being in this field. McCluskey, quote, referred her to feminist lawyers Linda Coffey and Sarah Weddington, who had been seeking just such a client to challenge the laws restricting access to abortion.
Okay.
So from Lucy's Lover, Britannica.com. Quote, McCorvey was hoping that she would quickly gain permission to receive an abortion, but she was unsuccessful. Coffey and Weddington changed the case to a class action suit, and by the time a ruling was made by a federal 3-judge panel that the Texas law against abortion was unconstitutional, McCorvey had already given birth and again given up this baby for adoption. Excuse me, place, but this is a quote.
That wasn't a quick solution.
No,
Yeah. No, that's what. Yeah, it's so fucked. The system is
So
fucked.
The state of Texas appealed, and in 1973, the Supreme Court ruled that during the first trimester of pregnancy, a pregnant woman did have the right to have an abortion, quote, free of interference by the state. So though Norma was at the center of these groundbreaking trials, she rarely attended and was simply referred to as Jane Roe.
Here we go.
Roe, as in Roe v. Wade, as in today is the anniversary of the overturning of Roe v. Wade. It all connects, y'all. My red string is fucking red stringing, bitches.
Yeah. Not just any Monday in June.
Yep. So, inspired by her own attempts at receiving the best healthcare choice for her, she got heavily involved in pro-choice activism, volunteering at clinics, and publicly supporting the right to choose. She continued this work throughout the 80s, and she also met and moved in with her partner, Connie Gonzalez, around this time. Everything seemed to change, however, in 1995 when she was working at a clinic and a group of anti-choice protesters were outside picketing, as per usual. But something was different this time because for some reason, Norma, quote, befriended Philip Flip Benham, who is the head of the aggressive pro-life organization Operation Rescue, and she soon began campaigning against the right to abortion.
Yeah, I knew
Norma?
this about. Yeah, I knew this about the Roe in the Roe v. Wade case that she like flipped sides.
It's really wild. So, end quote. So it's important to note that Norma was being alienated within the pro-choice activism community because she wasn't like the other women there. They didn't like how she spoke about abortion. And as we know, internalized misogyny and toxic feminism can often lead to like the victimization of women who aren't deemed, quote, a good enough or like a likable enough victim. And they also had really thrown this woman into being the figurehead of this massive court case.
And she never even like benefited from these rights.
She never got an abortion.
Right.
She never received it. But they wanted her to like be the face of this movement, which is, you know, not something she ever really...
And then they were like, you're not living up to being the face of this movement.
Yeah, you're not doing it right.
Yeah.
And then she, I guess, like on her lunch break at this clinic, was outside, and I guess she said in an interview later that there was like a poster that they had that showed, it was probably very, very, very unscientific and not medically accurate, but it showed like the steps of like the process of an abortion.
Like the pro-life group had this.
Yes, yes. And
All
so
of that
she said that she was very moved by that.
It should be illegal to have medical lies.
Misinformation.
In advertisements like that. Or like...
Screamed at vulnerable people trying to make the hardest decision of their fucking life. Yeah, it should be illegal.
Fucking fetuses with like full dentures.
Yeah. Ugh, psycho. I can't. I know, I totally agree with you.
Instagram trend.
Totally agree with you.
Not fetuses.
Yeah.
So Flip Benham, the fucking Operation Rescue guy, was aware of this. Knew that like the pro-choice faction was waffling on Norma. And he definitely exploited this knowledge, inviting Norma to their side, where he promised like, you'll be cared for, you'll be listened to, like you'll be supported.
She'd basically be like a defector to the Soviet Union or something. You know, she'd be held up.
And she took the bait. So from NPR, quote, he ingratiates himself to Norma. He befriends her as much of the pro-choice movement is sort of pushing her away. He wants to sort of hug her and hold her close, and she then decides to flip, and she switches sides.
She flipped to flip.
Yep. As one of the heads of the pro-life community put it, in Texas, quote, the poster child jumped off the poster. So this was like making headlines everywhere. But just as Norma didn't feel at home on the pro-choice side, she doesn't feel at home on the pro-life side because they're exploiting her too. And one big problem is that they basically tell her that she can't be gay. She has to renounce her homosexuality, and this causes her untold grief and suffering, end quote. Despite this, she publicly renounces Roe and joins forces with anti-choice activists in 1995. She and her partner Connie apparently continued to live together. They were together for like 35 or 40 years. Though Norma alleges that around this time, their relationship became, quote, a platonic friendship.
Lesbian bed
We're
death.
roommates. We're roommates.
We're roommates.
Sure, Grandma, let's get you to bed.
Deathbed.
Lesbian Deathbed. New band name, I call it. So, from Wikipedia, here is a little rundown of the work that Norma was doing with Operation Rescue. Quote, she converted to evangelical Protestantism and was baptized on August 8th, 1995 by Flip Benham in Dallas, Texas, in a backyard swimming pool. And this was like a big event that was filmed for national television as like, here's our huge announcement on the, pro-life side. We got her.
The exploitation of this woman is so
Really
sad.
tragic.
And it's so telling
Really
that
fucking tragic.
she's just ping-ponged between
1000%.
these two movements, both of which she does not actually fit into.
Nope.
Because people are unique and not
Yeah.
everyone fits into your little box. And maybe we should
Yeah.
all have choices.
Yeah, and the issue of abortion is certainly not black and white.
Yeah.
So it's actually pretty fucking poetic how this worked out. So 2 days later, after she gets baptized, she announced that she had quit her job at the abortion clinic and had become an advocate of Operation Rescue's campaign to make abortion illegal. She voiced remorse for her part in the Supreme Court decision and said she had been a pawn for abortion activists. Years later, in 2004, McCorvey sought to have the U.S. Supreme Court overturn Roe v. Wade, saying that there was now evidence that the procedure harms women. This is false.
not.
But the case was ultimately dismissed in 2005 because there's no evidence about that. McCorvey remained active in anti-abortion demonstrations, including one that she participated in before President Barack Obama's commencement address to the graduates of the University of Notre Dame. Mr. Corvey, I'm just high. Mick Corvey, who was arrested on the first day of the U.S. Senate hearings for the confirmation to the Supreme Court of the United States of Sonia Sotomayor after McCorvey and another protester began shouting during Al Franken's opening statement.
Wow.
McCorvey, so she was like
Very active.
all up in it.
Dang.
McCorvey appeared in the 2013 film Doonby, in which she delivers an anti-abortion message. She's also the subject of Joshua Prager's 2021 book, The Family Roe, An American Story. So she really went
She
deep
jumped onto
to the other side.
poster.
Norma fell ill in the late 20-teens and was diagnosed with congestive heart failure. So I'm not sure if she was given a specific timeline, but certainly like a prognosis that was like, this isn't looking good. And she was aware that her life was drawing to a close.
Yeah, we're gonna die.
Yep. So when she was approached to film the documentary, AKA Jane Roe, for FX in 2016, she accepted, knowing this would be the last platform that she had to tell her story before meeting her God IRL. She sits down in front of the camera for her interview and says to the director, Nick Sweeney, quote, "This is my deathbed confession." She then opens up and explains that she never really supported the anti-abortion movement. Quote, "I took their money and they put me out in front of the camera and told me what to say, and that's what I'd say," she explained.
Oh my God.
"It was all an act?" the director asks. "Yeah," she says. "I was good at it too."
Oh my God.
A lot of feelings, all valid. Like, this is where we can get into the complexity of being human, where it's like, I do have a lot of empathy for this vulnerable woman who was used as a political pawn and a religious pawn and like absolutely exploited at a really awful time in her life. And it is undeniable that she caused a lot of harm to a lot of
I can't believe
people.
Connie stayed with her through all this
know.
big change.
Yeah.
I would have been
Throughout
like,
this time. So I'm your roommate now.
love is
and
conditional.
It's platonic.
it super
now.
is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's really sad. So the documentary goes into the real Norma, a woman who both sides of the activism spectrum found charming and infuriating simultaneously.
I mean, you also have to remember, like you said, like the empathy piece, like she had a really fucking horrific
Awful.
childhood and early life.
She was surviving.
She was surviving.
Absolutely she was. And you can hold that and have empathy for that. And I feel a lot of empathy for her, and it's still fucked up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All those things can be true for sure. From the Washington Post, quote, "She rewrote stories into fantasies. She could be mercenary and always needed money. Maybe the best word for her was survivor. Multiple people decided independently. After a rough life, she'd now do whatever it took to survive. At one point in the FX documentary, she chuckles that she's always, quote, looking out for Norma's salvation and Norma's butt. At times, she seemed to be exactly what their movements needed. At times, she seemed hell-bent on complicating an issue that they found to be absolutely simple and clear. As to why she came forward with this information, director Nick Sweeney believes, quote, she agreed to participate because she knew she was nearing the end of her life and because Sweeney hadn't approached her with any kind of an agenda. He didn't want to make an abortion rights or anti-abortion film. He simply wanted to know her as a person.
So he didn't pay her anything to participate in this film.
Nope. She wanted him to, and he was like, because of journalistic integrity, I can't do that, but we can negotiate some kind of little payment for like release of photos. You know, if you like really need to make a buck
like a royalties
off of just
thing.
sitting, yeah, like not even a royalties thing. I don't even
Like
remember like a photo release, and we'll pay you for the right to use these photos in this
There's
documentary.
craft services
Yeah.
at the
But he
show.
Hair
didn't-
and makeup.
Yeah, that was just like a workaround. They find workarounds like this all the time, but he's like, I can't just pay you for doing the interview. So he said there's a temptation to reduce her to something like a trophy or an emblem.
It's like
but
fucking capture the flag, but with a
Exactly.
human being.
it really is.
Capture the row.
Yeah. But it's important to know that there was someone who was a real person, Sweeney says. People on all sides wanted her to be the person that suited their aims, and in a lot of ways, she just wanted to be herself.
I don't need a figurehead to know that
Exactly.
I'm pro-choice. You know? Because
Yeah.
that's the whole point of it. It's like I don't get to choose for someone else, and they don't get to choose for me. Like
Yeah. It wasn't that easy back then, though, trying to
No.
persuade the majority of the country.
No, I know. I'm just saying, like it.
Yeah, let her be.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm going to wrap up my case just by reading the rest of that Washington Post article because it tells it all just better than I could have tried to break it down and rewrite it, so why bother? So, did he ask whether she regretted anything about her choices over the past 20 years? Yes. And what did she say? She said no. There's a scene in the documentary where when the clip of McCorvey's revelation is played back for all the other participants in this movement, one by one, including Robert Schenck or whatever, who's like this fucking religious anti-choice douchebag, Charlotte Taft, Gloria Allred. They all hear McCorvey
What about
say,
Flip?
quote,
Is Flip still around? Or is Flip dead?
if he's around, I'm sure he saw it. He might be dead. Who knows? So they all hear McCorvey say, quote, I took their money and they put me out in front of the camera and told me what to say. One by one, they all gasp. It felt like such a betrayal, Taft says in an interview. The stakes were so high. Seeing it was shocking to me, Schenck says in an interview, not because of what it revealed about her, but what it revealed about me and the movement. She forced me to be honest with myself. I actually kind of appreciate his response here.
Okay.
The anti-abortion movement had used her, he thinks now. They'd used her image and her story and her regret, and they'd shaved off all the rough edges, turning her into a perfect poster girl instead of a person, which is so easy for people to do with abortion. Get so caught up in scrambling for the moral high ground, you forget about the people, they say women, but people underfoot.
This is his quote.
This is like some editorializing of what this guy was saying in response to watching this documentary.
That's his idea.
This is how he feels,
Wow.
yes. He used to be an absolutist. No exceptions, no excuses, no justifications. In recent years, his position has softened. He understands why some people's life circumstances might make abortion the best option for them, and he's grown disillusioned about the public debate around abortion. Quote, realizing how much the political leaders on both sides have exploited the issue, that seemed to be very problematic morally and ethically, Schenck says. I'm not ready to celebrate abortion. I still think it represents a tragedy and a failure, but I think the human realities around it make it understandable.
Yeah.
End quote.
wow.
Pretty
Dang.
incredible
Norma
than you would have even...
flipped him.
She did.
Everybody's flip-flopping.
Everybody, snip, snap, snip, snap, snip, snap. So what to make of Norma McCorvey? Maybe she works best as a symbol of a different kind of struggle, personal, not political. This is still from the Washington Post article. I can't write this well. It's a struggle that comes with trying to reconcile our untidy, doubt-ridden, trophy-seeking inner monologues with the roles we inhabit in America's morality play. In the end, McCorvey seemed to make a sort of peace with the legacy of Jane Roe. Quote, women have been having abortions for thousands of years, she says near the end of the documentary. If it's just the woman's choice and she chooses to have an abortion, then it should be safe. Roe v. Wade helped save people's lives.
Jesus Christ.
Isn't that wild?
That's insane. I didn't know any of that.
I knew some of that, but not the whole, obviously not the whole thing.
I didn't know any of it
She's
either.
dead
So I
now,
was
right?
Yes. Yep. She passed away in 2017 from her congestive heart failure.
Oh my God.
And that truly was her last, like, if you look at the photos on the drive, which will be on the blog at wineandcrimepodcast.com, there's like a couple shots of her giving that final interview and she's like hooked up to like oxygen. Like she's not well. But yeah.
Wow.
Yep. Anyway, that's my case.
Well,
Wow. That was
people
good.
Yeah.
are
These are-
complicated.
People are complicated. Human beings.
Choose your claimants in your class action lawsuit wisely.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Choose when to make a deathbed confession wisely.
Yeah.
Seriously.
It's all about
Not
choice.
if you're gonna bounce back, but
And timing.
keep it to
And
yourself.
timing.
Those are our life lessons from the Wine and
All
Crime
about
gals.
and another thing.
And another thing.
All right. Well, thank you so much for listening to our Deathbed Confessions. I'm going to mull over what mine are going to be, and we'll talk to you next week.
See you later.
Bye-bye.
Thanks for listening to Wine and Crime. Our cover art is by Kala Yip, music by Phil Young and Corey Wendell, editing by Jonathan Camp. Check out our website and blog at wineandcrimepodcast.com. You can also follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at Wine and Crime Pod. If you have questions, answers, or recommendations to share, email us at wineandcrimepodcast@gmail.com. Episodes are available on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Google Play, basically wherever you get your favorite podcasts. And if you like the show, please rate, review, and subscribe on Apple Podcasts. It is the best way to spread the word. If you'd like to show your support, visit our Patreon page to keep this podcast and the wine flowing. Cheers.